Hey guys, and welcome back to another Phasmophobia guide. In this video I'll be going over how to use every single type of sensor currently in the game. This includes the motion sensor, the sound sensor, and finally the infrared sensor. It's worth noting that you can bring up to 4 of each sensor per mission. First up, the motion sensor. This black box here with a red light. The main use of the motion sensor is to detect any motion in a short range in front of the sensor. To use the motion sensor, you do need to place it on the wall. Look at where you want to place it and press F by default. The motion sensor can be triggered by both the ghost and you or your teammates, so do bear this in mind. When there is motion in front of the sensor, the red light will turn green, as seen here. You can also see if the motion sensors get triggered from the truck. Note that the red bar is the area in which the motion sensor will detect any movement. If a player or the ghost travels in front of this, the red bar will turn into a green bar, as seen here. This will then last a few seconds before turning red again. Motion detectors will only detect in a small area in front of them, so they are very useful to place in narrow corridors, especially if you're struggling to find the ghost room. You can see if the ghost is moving through a particular area. You can also place them with you in the ghost room in order to see if the ghost is nearby. You can see the red light turning green when the ghost passes by the sensor. Detecting a ghost with a motion sensor is a very common and very easy optional objective. Once you've detected the ghost room, just set up 1 or 2 sensors in the best place possible, and before you know it, you will have ticked it off. Next up, we have the sound sensor, these white ones here with a black circle in the middle. The main use of the sound sensor is to detect any sound activity over quite a large area. You place the sound sensor just like the motion sensor. Find where you want to place it on a wall and press F by default. As you can see back on the truck, the area covered by the sound sensors is covered by big yellow squares. The one on the left I placed in the hallway. As you can see, this is covering the hallway and also a couple of extra rooms. They do cover a large area. The one on the right is placed in the garage, and as you can see, it's covering the whole garage and some of the kitchen and some of the utility room. In order to detect any readings from the sound sensor, you won't be able to do that while being in the room. You will need to be back on the truck and you will need to look over here to the right. As you can see, the 2 sound sensors that we placed are labelled as the foyer and the garage. We've currently got some sound activity in the garage. This will be either the ghost moving or interacting with objects. It's worth noting that other players can set off the sound sensor, so do be careful when you are playing with other people. Personally, I find the sound sensors most useful on the large maps, such as High School and Asylum. Placing the sensors to cover a large area and multiple rooms will help to narrow down your search area massively on these larger maps. As you can see here in this high school example, I've placed 2 sound sensors at the top of each hallway. They do cover a fairly large area, which should help to narrow down your search area, depending on if you get sound readings or not. And finally, we have the infrared sensor, these green boxes on the right. The use of the infrared sensor is very similar to the motion sensor. It will detect any movement in front of it. To use the infrared sensor, just like the other sensors, you look at where you want to put it and press F by default. Any motion detected in front of the sensor, whether that be you, a teammate or the ghost, will make the sensor illuminate. If you aren't quite sure where the ghost is, you can place them in multiple areas and look out for them lighting up. This will indicate that the ghost has walked in front of it. Alternatively, you can place them in the ghost room when you know where it is, and then you will know when the ghost is with you if they get triggered. So there you have it, how to use all 3 types of sensors currently in the game. I hope you found this video helpful. Stay tuned for more Phasmophobia content. In the meantime, stay safe and happy hunting.